These are also the faces of potentially violent criminals who were stopped because of good citizens reporting what they had seen to the police. The news headlines the next day would have read very different if they were able to continue with their plan. In the late evening hours of Friday, February 5th, 2021, officers responded to a business in the 1000 block of Park Street. This is also an area that's commonly known as Five Points. They were dispatched there to break up a fight with about 20 individuals. By the time that the officers arrived, the fight had dispersed and nobody was in the area. About 20 minutes later, officers were on a traffic stop nearby when a citizen flagged them down and said that they saw two individuals walking down the sidewalk carrying rifles. The citizens provided the officers with a clothing description, a direction of travel, and mentioned that that the individuals were involved in the earlier fight. This is just another example of how dangerous police work can be. In a moment's notice, these officers go from the traffic stop to looking for two individuals in the area carrying rifles. These officers know that if they don't find these individuals quickly, something bad can happen. The officers immediately began to search the area and quickly located the suspects in the 800 block of Post Street. They located Damon Williams, 27 years old, and Charles James, 18 years old. The men were not carrying rifles when the officers first contacted them. As a matter of fact, they acted like they didn't even know why the officers would stop them. They said they weren't involved in a fight. They didn't know anything about any guns. The officers did a quick search of the nearby area, and about 20 feet away from where they stopped the individuals, they located a shotgun and a rifle loaded with a drum magazine. Witnesses were able to positively identify the two suspects. But officers didn't stop there. They continued their investigation, and they were able to pull surveillance video that we're going to show you shortly, which shows how brazen these individuals were as they were walking down the sidewalk. Go ahead with the video, please. Okay. That's our individuals there. You can see them swapping hands with the rifle, just casually walking down the sidewalk. Still has a rifle, throws it over his shoulder. That's the AR with a drum magazine. It's a very busy area. You can tell from all the cars and all the traffic. Walking by people. People are beginning to notice this. And there's the rifles where they were recovered. So the two suspects, Damon and Charles, were charged with open carrying of firearms. Charles was also charged with some additional charges. That is in your packet that's been provided to you. Folks, this could have been national news. However, because of the citizens being observant and providing that information to our officers, and our officers quickly intervening, it changes the story dramatically. I've talked about community engagement several times in the past few weeks. I'm going to continue talking about community engagement. Our community needs to continue talking about community engagement. This is a great example of what it looks like so that we can intervene on behalf of our community and prevent something tragic from occurring. There are many ways that the police and the people of Jacksonville can work together and fight crime and win. Like I said, this is just another example of that. The citizens flagged down our officers. The witnesses stood by and identified them and said, that's absolutely them. And those are the key ingredients to what we need to make this work. The police are all in. We're doing everything that we can. We're looking for that community participation And this is, like I said, a great example of that partnership. If you see something that seems suspicious, say something to police. You can use 911 for emergencies or call our non-emergency number at 904-630-0500. You can also stay anonymous by using First Coast Crime Stoppers at 1-866-845-TIPS. With that, I'll take any questions.
What was their purpose for openly carrying those weapons in such a brazen way? And have your investigators been able to find out if they are part of some organization or some rogue group?
We're obviously looking at some of those things, how they radiate out, but ultimately, and you could see it from the pictures of the individuals, they didn't like the way the fight turned out. One of them's got a mark on his face. That's not from officer interaction. That's from the fight earlier.
So they were returning to?
They were returning to the scene of the fight. Now, they're not forthcoming with us, obviously, with our first interaction with them, and they're lying about, we don't have any guns, don't know what you're talking about. So we really have to drill down and break that story down. But at the end of the day, they're just not happy about the outcome of that fight, and they want to escalate it.
Were they legally allowed to have those types of weapons?
So Charles has some additional charges, but no, you cannot carry firearms like that. You just can't do that in public, walking down the sidewalk like that. That's why we charge them with the open carrying of firearms.
At some point, will their charges be transferred over to a federal level because of the type of weapons that were recovered?
Just based on the elements and the requirements, it'll most likely stay at the state level.
And you mentioned they had a plan. What was that plan?
Well, I mean, you can see that they're headed back towards the location that the fight occurred. That's consistent with what the witnesses provided to our officers. So what is their ultimate goal or what is their ultimate plan? We may never know, but it just defies logic that someone would, because of whatever incident occurred earlier or whatever fight occurred earlier, that's their solution. It defies logic. It's just not reasonable.
On the night that this happened, were there quite a few people out and about in that general area?
We had good witnesses and, like I said, community involvement and participation. You can see all the cars that are there. It's before midnight, around 11 o'clock when this rolls out, but you can see the cars, the traffic, there's people walking down the sidewalk. So, I mean, it's a very public place, and 5 Points is a very busy location. So, I mean, it's just, like I said, it defies logic.
And when you say an AR-style weapon with a drum magazine, can you, for many of us that may not understand what a drum magazine is that anything different or something more significant?
So, right. So where you would normally have like a stick magazine that is single or double row, it's a drum magazine so that the bullets kind of wrap around on top of themselves to increase the capacity to weather. Most drum magazines are 50 or 100 rounds.
Any indication how much they had in that gun or that magazine?
I don't have that information, but certainly we can provide that to you.
And this was on February 5th, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And back to your point, it's on the reports. That when we put the information into the property room, that round count, that bullet count should be in there.
So for every bullet that's in there, that's an extra count of that particular?
No, I'm talking about the number. So the number of bullets will be in there because when we put the information into the property room, we will count those and log those, how many bullets that they had.
In all of your years in law enforcement, have you ever encountered anything or even seen anything like this before here in Jacksonville, so brazen like that?
Well, listen, we have all kinds of things that happen in Jacksonville. The reality of it is when you see it on video, on surveillance, it's just shocking. It shocks, human decency that is someone's solution. So.
And do you know their relation with each other? What's their relationship?
I don't know their familial relationship.
Okay. And so Charles James is 18. Damon Williams, you said he's 27?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Are they from Jacksonville?
That'll be in the report.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And I have those additional charges for Charles.
Oh, good seeing you.